Pilgrims, and welcome to episode 39 of the Polygon Pilgrimage. Today I wanted to share with you something that I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. Recently I participated in the Polycount VG Remix Challenge, and the challenge was to create a 3D diorama of one of your favorite old school video games. So I looked at some of the other entries and didn't want to really duplicate anybody, but I also wanted to think of something that I really enjoyed as a kid. So I went with Nukem 3D. Now today what I want to show you is my piece thus far. Unfortunately, due to a slight family emergency, I was not able to finish in time. But what I am going to do is finish the entry anyway because I do want to add it to my portfolio. Now, that being said, I want to show you some of the things that I've learned and talk about how I accomplish certain things. And I'll show you my texture and just a brief overview of the process. Alright, so here we go. First off, I want to show you the entry. So we have the two buildings with some of the toxic sludge or the lava pouring off the sides. And we've got Duke up here on the main building, and he's being attacked by two of the pig cops and by an octobrain coming out from behind. We've got a sign here with some buildings and some windows. I'm really proud of the doors, especially. Let me show you those. It's a little pixelated because part of the challenge is to work with a very small texture set, and I was able to create sort of that old school look with the blurriness that happens in some of the textures. So the doors I'm particularly happy with. If you've played a lot of Duke Nukem, you'll recognize them. The sign here, I didn't want to put, XXX because that was kind of the theme of Duke Nukem with strippers and everything, but I wanted to be a little bit more PG with it, so I just put the word live, which kind of gets the point across. And of course on the other side, we've got Duke, which is pretty cool. So here we've got some lava pouring down and some graffiti in the back. And you'll notice there's a section behind the graffiti. It looks like the bricks are going in an odd direction. There was a door there, but instead I decided to cover it up, so just need to mess with the UVs a little bit to fix that. Still a work in progress at this point, but laying down the basics of some things. Over here we're going to have the very famous crates that you jump on all the time, and we have trash can. And the trash can came out pretty nice. It needs some lighting still, and it'll really pop a bit more. And then up top, one of my all-time favorite pieces from both the game and that I was able to faithfully recreate are the explosive canisters. I think these came out really nicely, and I'll show you guys the textures for these in a moment. The big thing with the textures that I wanted to mention was that I really got a good sense of how to start creating some modular textures, how to create, repeating textures. So the roof here is not finished, but you can see that we're starting to get there. I can still see too much repetition, so I want to change it up a little bit, but it's so much better than my first attempt, and I'm really happy with it. The same thing here with the rubble texture. Again, there's a seam there. I need to cover that up a little bit. But the floor here is also a work in progress, but you can see that it's getting there. You get the sense of what it should be, and now it's just refining from there. And last but not least, we have the Duke logo on the bottom. Couldn't resist, had to throw it in there somewhere, where better than on the bottom where there's not a lot of used space. And again, another texture here. Got some seams here that need to be covered up a little bit better. But this rock texture is a repeating texture that I learned how to create as well. And guys, I really struggle with texture sometimes, so I'm really proud of myself for all the work I've done here, where it looks pretty good already, and I'm only halfway through texturing. So speaking of the textures, let's pop over to Photoshop and take a look at them. Alright, so here we are in Photoshop, and I want to show you my texture layout. I divided the whole scene into 4 quadrants. The bottom right quadrant is for my props. The bottom left is for what I call the base. The top left is for the buildings, and I'm going to be reducing these buildings and have 2 different colors or 2 different types of buildings here. Then the upper right is going to be for the characters. Now the characters do have some textures in progress on them, but I need to bring them into the scene and transfer them down to this area. So that'll be coming up in a few days here. The lines you see here, the grid that I've set up in Photoshop, is for a 64 by 64 area, and I think it's actually been reduced to 32 by 32. I condensed all of my textures down into this texture you see here, inclusive of all the corners, is a 512 by 512. So the entire scene is being powered by one 512 by 512 texture. which is a huge leap forward for me. I'm one of the people that was taught how to create textures for your one character being, multiple 1024 or 2048 textures. So to do an entire scene in 512 by 512 is quite an accomplishment for me. Alright guys, so in closing, I just wanted to share the textures with you here and show you what I've been working on. Like I said, it's still a work in progress, but I'm really happy with all the progress that I've made, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it as well. And I will of course post and let you guys know when the scene is complete. I've been working with the 3D viewer site called Sketchfab, which was part of the competition. I did a review of both Sketchfab and P3D a while ago, and I do stand that, in my personal opinion, P3D is better, and I'll be translating these to both. But Sketchfab has grown on me a little bit, and if you're looking for something that if P3D doesn't work for you for some reason, or if you just want to try them both out, it does have some limitations, but it's been fairly good for this competition, and I've learned how to work with it, so I've learned how to use both now, and that's always a positive thing. So as always, keep practicing, get better you guys, try out your own dioramas. I've really enjoyed doing a diorama, so I think I'm going to do more of them in the future. And please enjoy the quote at the bottom of the page, and as always, I will see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.